Well, here we are at WonderCon, and we're here with the creative director and writers and star of Headhunter. It's a medieval fantasy horror film where you're on a quest. You need that one head left of this monster that killed your daughter?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I know what I'm talking about. Now, you guys also co-wrote the movie together? Mm-hmm. Right? So I'm real curious, what is your writing style? Do you work together? Do you work apart? Or tell me about some of those sleepless nights when you guys argued over where the movie should be going.
Oh yeah, I mean, we do a little bit of both actually. We kind of do together and off to, we go off into our own corner and then do a little bit of writing, then we combine the scripts. But a lot of it took place just going getting coffee every morning at this one spot near our place and just talking the movie over, talking it over. And a lot, I actually was on a drive up to Mammoth. We were going to go do a writing retreat there with some buddies. And we were Jordan was driving and we were typing away and just trying to figure out the core of the story. Mm-hmm. But it started with that one scene. Do you want to describe it?
It was just the idea of a scene of this character kicking down a door and he's got these wounds and he has a severed head and he uses this special elixir like a medieval Neosporin and it heals the wounds, but would it also have a power to revive something from the dead? So that was like the core. It's a specific scene in the movie, but also just the core driving force for why we wanted to go and do this.
And doing a fantasy horror, if you're going to do a film, comedy's hard, drama's hard, but fantasy horror just kind of writes itself. But it can get real expensive fast because of special effects, costumes, all of that. So was there something in the movie that you wanted to include, but you didn't have the budget, or you just wasn't able to pull it off?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes and no. Because early on, we knew we weren't going to have a major budget, so we were purposely writing around some of that stuff. And we kind of realized that the cool thing about fantasy horror is we've seen so many dragons on screen before. We've seen kingdoms and castles and epic Game of Thrones and Braveheart-sized fighting. So we kind of knew if you could just hint at those things, audiences already can imagine what that stuff looks like. So we were of course constantly trying to not want to keep too much stuff off screen that it's just uninteresting. And we did want to make ultimately a monster movie, so you gotta have monsters. But yeah, there were, of course, you would have wanted to do stuff, but then we did realize too that it was much more about this guy's face and what's going on in here than it was the world around him.
And Chris, this seems like a really physically demanding role. So tell me about how you got acquainted with your outfits and with some of the physical effects in it. Were some loose blows, or did anyone safety first?
Probably the heaviest part was just wearing the costume all day, because it's quite heavy. It's made of leather, but it's I don't know, 20 kilos or something.
Yeah, 40 pounds.
It's pretty heavy, it's a bit constraining, restraining. So that was probably the hardest part. There weren't that many fighting scenes, like battle scenes in the movie, so you wouldn't need to learn a whole lot of choreography to do that. So that wasn't difficult in any way. So it was mostly just wearing the costume, I'd say. Yeah.
And shooting this film, was it something you did over a long period of time, or was it a regular shoot where you had 60 days and you just went for broke?
Well, we shot for 24 days in Portugal, where I'm originally from. And my grandma still lives there. There's this old 200-year-old village, stone houses. That's why we went there, because we knew we were going to get great production value and something that's never been put on camera as well. We shot 24 days there, and then I think we did a year later, we did 10 more days in Mammoth Mountains, because we want to get some snow scenes. 34 days for a low-budget film. It's pretty good amount, but we had to take it step by step, because with a small crew and a small team, you need those days. You need that time to get it right.
And we were talking before the interview, there's no shame in going to video on demand. You told me Redbox ordered a bunch of these. So, yeah. I mean, that speaks volumes to the success of the film, is being able to sell it.
Yeah.
And for audience to see it. So it's got to be real satisfying for everybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we didn't have expectations other than just make something that we would all want to see as fans and just something that we thought would be cool. And of course, you want to sell it and you want it, to be seen by as many people as possible. And I think we knew there was something different and special about this one, though, from the start. Even just our parents who aren't necessarily horror buffs or people that would like some of these weird things that I've been into my whole life. My dad really liked this. And then you'd show it to someone else that wouldn't normally respond to your work, and they would really like it. And so there were these little pointers that we were heading towards something special from the very start, really.
Well, fantasy horror genre is often ignored. These gentlemen pulled it off. Headhunter, it's on video on demand, right?
Video on demand, iTunes, Amazon, anywhere you can rent a movie digitally, and then Redbox, and DVD after that.
Starting April 5th.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, guys, enjoy WonderCon.
Thank
Thanks
you,
so
Jeff.
much.
Appreciate it, man.
You
Thanks,
bet.
Jeff.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you.